What's up, Exiles? Ready to slap some absurd power onto your character's fingers? Today we're talking rings that make builds scream, stash tabs weep, and enemies evaporate. From Dream Fragments, the Giga moneymaker fueling all the Archmage gods, to Sekhema's Resolve, the often overlooked ring that's crazy powerful when used right. Want to farm them, flip them, or just use them to break the game? Let's go check out the best unique rings in Path of Exile 2. All right, the first unique ring we're going to be talking about is the Blackheart Iron Ring. What makes this ring fantastic is that there is no level requirement to equip it. So you can be fresh off the beach, immediately equip this onto your character, and instantly become the Giga Chad for that area. It gives you 1 to 4 physical damage to attacks, and then it also gives you chaos damage to attacks as well. So you get a huge flat damage boost for any attack based build. And that is massive at the start of the campaign. In addition, that 25% chance to intimidate enemies is actually a 10% more damage modifier that also reduces the damage dealt by the enemies you're inflicting it upon. So this gives you more damage and more survivability. And then, of course, it has the 3 to 6 life regeneration per second, which, is useful at the start of the campaign, not completely useless. So this is a well-rounded leveling ring that's going to help you smash early game content with your new characters. Heading on over to the trade site, I set up a search that's going to allow us to find a perfect Blackheart Iron Ring. I'm providing all the trade links in the description, so if you guys want to use these same searches, it'll be easy for you to do. So we put 8 as the minimum to add to the chaos damage to attacks. So that's going to show us all of the perfectly rolled ones in terms of damage. I'm really not concerned about the life regeneration per second. But if you want to get the highest, a perfect damage roll on your Blackheart Iron Ring, you're honestly looking at about 5 exalted orbs, and possibly as much as 10 exalted orbs to acquire a perfectly rolled ring. Now, if you want to try quality corrupt flipping these rings, I'm not sure if that's a profitable strategy. I researched this a couple days ago, and the market changes rapidly right now. But we're going to do one live for you on stream. But if you wanted to search and find a ring that you could quality corrupt and flip, you just want to come down here, change corruption to no, not corrupted, then search again and pick up a ring that, has that perfect roll and for as little as you can, and then we can quality it up and see what we could actually flip it for. And we'll actually do that live right now. All right, so here you can see I have a Blackheart Iron Ring. I acquired this one with a perfect chaos damage to attacks for 5 Exalted Orbs. And then I have here Chayula's Catalyst. This is the catalyst we want to apply that's going to increase the chaos damage to attacks. The reason why you don't want to use the catalyst that increases all modifiers that have the attack modifier is because even if you add 20 quality to it, it's not enough percentage to add any flat physical damage. And those catalysts are more expensive than Chayula's. So Chayula's, I was able to get 20 of them for 5 Exalted Orbs, making the total cost of this ring after re-quality up about 10 Exalts. So we're going to have 3 catalysts left over this time, so it's a little under 10 Exalt investment here. And now you can see that it adds 7 to 12 chaos damage to attacks. So the investment, let's just say, is 10. Now, when I search for this ring, really the only relevant thing is that it's 7 to 12 chaos damage to attacks. And they're saying they go for 110. I think that's pretty unlikely. Let's just put this at 8.5 and see what happens. Lower that damage. And look, there's one for 40 here that's been listed 4 hours ago. So I'm pretty confident you could flip this for 40 exalts right now. That was only a 10 exalt investment. It's possible you could get more, as that's the only one listed. You're gonna have to go and experiment with that. But we're not done here. I want to Vol Orb this and see if I can get a crazy implicit or get something else to happen. So let's go. And it looks like it didn't change anything. So even though it's corrupted, it looks like I can still get, 40, 50 exalts. So with a 10 Exalted Orb investment, you can definitely flip these and make some profit. You know, if it's worth it to you and the time invested, it depends on where you are in your economic journey, but it's definitely a viable strategy. One thing I want to mention before we move on is I'm creating a twink leveling guide, and I'm going to use Blackheart Ring as part of that guide. So basically, I'm going to show you how you can level any ascendancy in the game with the same set of gear. That's basically all very inexpensive, unique items. It'll allow you to blast through the campaign super fast, get to end game, with basically only changing maybe a couple pieces throughout the entire course of that. So almost using your starting set of gear, which is pretty amazing. In addition, I put together a Google Doc that has a checklist of every single campaign item you need to complete. So I've removed all the ones that are not essential, that don't give you any permanent buffs. So you can just read and check them off as you're going through the campaign, making it so you can just speed run it without even thinking about it, without having to constantly check the map overlay. Did I get this? Did I get that? So it's going to be a really cool guide, and it's going to be budget friendly, and it's going to show you the fastest way you can level your new characters to end game. So if you guys are interested in seeing that guide, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. I would appreciate it greatly, and you'll definitely be notified when that drops. So that's the Blackheart ring. Let's go and check out some more unique rings. All right. The next unique ring we have to discuss is Polcirkeln, the elephant in the room. I say that because honestly, this ring is just kind of busted when you pair it with Herald of Ice. So that last modifier there, enemies chilled by your hits can be shattered as though frozen. When you pair that with Herald of Ice, which chills all the enemies, this basically allows you to have a chain reaction of explosions that just explodes and shatters your entire screen. Um, Basically, you can put this ring on any build and pair it with Herald of Ice, and it'll increase your clear speed on maps um, dramatically. Let's just say that. So this ring is pretty cool for that reason. And then you look at the other stats: cold resistance. Every build needs that. Cold damage. Well, I'm assuming that you're doing some cold damage if you're using the Herald of Ice and this chain reaction, so that's a useful stat. Maximum mana. Hey, everybody can utilize that for the most part. And 15 strength. Everyone needs a little strength in their build. So those are all pretty solid stats, making this a really versatile ring that can add a lot of clear speed to any build. Um, What's interesting about this is people have been gambling a lot on the sapphire ring bases with chance orbs. They're trying to get a different ring that we're going to talk about a little bit later, but as a byproduct, a lot of these rings have been flooding the market. So really early in the league, these were more expensive, but now as a result of gambling, also via Alva, you know, and just spending gold to get rings, but mainly from chancing sapphire bases, there's just a crap ton of them on the market. So the cost of these rings has definitely tanked. Let's go check it out. All right, so here we are on the trade site, and I've set up a filter for us. Again, it'll be in the description, so you can come and use my same trade filter. I put the implicit to 28. It can go up to 30, so near perfect. Same with cold damage, 28 out of 30. Maximum mana is 55 out of 60, near perfect. And then for strength, it's 13 out of 15. So all these are high rolls, but not perfect rolls. Let's come down here and see what we get. So hit search. And it looks like you can basically get a near perfect Polcirkeln for about 5 exalted orbs. There's a bunch of listings for that, and then it starts going up to 8 exalted orbs. So I think I can confidently say you could find one of these with near perfect rolls for 10 or under exalts. Now, if you want to come around and get a perfect one and see what those cost, you can come and mess around using my trade link. Now, can we buy these, quality them up, corrupt them, and flip them for a profit? Again, if you want to find ones that you can try and quality corrupt flip, just come down here to corrupted, select no, search again, and pick up one with the highest rolled stats for the least amount of money. I actually already did that, so let's head back in game and see if we can make a profit flipping these. All right, we are back in game, and you can see here I have a Polcirkeln ring that I acquired for 6 exalted orbs. We're going to be qualitying it up with Tools Catalyst, which increases the value of cold modifiers. These 20 catalysts cost me 6 Exalted Orbs as well, making for roughly a total of 12 Exalts investment. I have 2 catalysts remaining, so again, a little bit less. We'll just call that the ball orb since we're not calculating that in. But first, let's check this out. So this had some pretty decent rolls. Now that I've qualityed it up, what are these going for? So even without the implicit, it was going for pretty high. So with the implicit at 33, you know, with these exact stats or higher, it's going for 100 Exalted Orbs. Now, I would mess around with these. I don't think you can sell it for 100 Exalted, so maybe put these a little bit lower. The ones that are modified are the cold, so we could put this at 32, you know, put this at 31, see what comes up now. So you can probably sell this for 35, maybe 50 Exalted Orbs. Again, my investment was 12 at this point, but let's see if we can hit a corruption and see what happens here. Can we get lucky this time? Let's go. Again, I think I got nothing. So usually if you get nothing, it actually decreases the value. So let's come in here and check out what it did to our value. So yeah, now I just kind of ripped some of my currency by trying to hit an implicit. But if I hit a good implicit, I would have made a lot more money. But it is definitely possible to even miss your corrupt and still turn a profit. So if I hit a good corrupt, maybe I made a lot more money. You guys can come and check it out. That's just a little taste for you and a little bit of data for you guys to work with and decide how you want to proceed. So check this out, guys. This person just messaged me and I had 2 Blackheart rings. Almost identical. The only difference is one has a little bit more life regen than the other. The one with more life regen I put for 50x. The one that didn't had 45. So this is one that I did, you know, quality up and corrupt on stream. I'm going to sell both of them right now. So that's going to be a 95x for a 20x investment. I'm surprised this guy wants both of them, but he's likely going to be leveling a twink. Seems very likely. And this is exactly what I'm going to do with my twink leveling. I'm going to put 2 of these bad boys on. There we go, 95 exalts for the 2 Blackheart rings. And that was pretty quickly after I listed them. And here we are, the Giga Moneymaker, the drop we all are wanting to see when it comes to unique rings, Dream Fragment Sapphire Ring. So, what makes this ring so valuable is that modifier down there that reads 20% increased maximum mana. So this is amazing for any Archmage builds at all, particularly Stormweaver Archmage, or any mana reliant builds in general. And then to top it off, you get cold res, you get mana regen, and you get the quality of life of you cannot be chilled or frozen. So I've seen countless videos of YouTubers gambling for this ring via applying chance orbs to the sapphire ring white bases. And a lot of them end in ruin, where they got like 100 Polcirkeln rings and a couple other unique rings that are from that base as well, but no Dream Fragments. But it can be done. This is a random drop ring. It doesn't drop from a boss. It can drop anywhere in a Ray class, assuming you're fighting monster level 12 or higher. It can also be gambled by Alva. I have yet to see that being done successfully, and people have spent millions and millions of gold attempting to do so. Let's hop over to the trade side and see what these are going for currently. All right, here we are in the trade side. I've typed in Dream Fragments. I've set up the stat filters so you can check them on if you want to look at, you know, a perfect rolled ring. But we're just going to see what can you actually purchase one for at this moment. So if we search, I see this first one here for 85 divine. The thing about this one is it's got 24 increased percent mana, so, and it was listed just now. So I don't think it's actually going to sell for 85. He's probably getting a couple messages. Maybe he will let go of it for that price, but I think it's more likely you're going to see one that's already corrupted and 20% increased mana for 88. That seems a little bit more reasonable. Again, here you have 20% increase to 89 already corrupted. Here's one that's not corrupted for 90 divine. That's already been qualityed up. That was also listed just now. Um, a little bit questionable. I think that honestly, this person could probably get more for it than they're currently asking, or maybe the market has been deflated since last I came and checked it. They were going for about 100 easy last time I was here, but now it looks like you can get one for 90 divine pretty easily. Maybe even one that's not been corrupted. Let's go ahead and look at what it would look like if you wanted to get one that's not corrupted in general. Just a bunch more to look at for sample size. So 95, 95, 96. Yeah, I mean, you can get one for 95. Possibly you get one for 90. The one that's not corrupted, that's for 90. This 85, it's still listed, but it might just be price fixing, something like that. So about 95 divine if you want to get one that's not corrupted. So let's see if you could get one with perfect stats that's not corrupted. Wow. What? That's surprising to me. Well, this one's already been qualityed up, so that does help with it having perfect stats. Because I put in my stat filter to show the perfect rolls without quality. So I guess I could change that, but regardless, that's a pretty high roll for 115. So interesting. We're going to check out one more thing in case people are wanting to flip them. So let's say you have one that's not corrupted. The base price for not corrupted is basically, let's say 90 divine on average. All right, so it starts at 90 divine. Now, if you corrupt it, it's actually, you don't get a good implicit, and you don't get a good corruption, you're not really losing that much money, surprisingly. Am I reading this wrong? If I'm reading this wrong, comment in the comments. It doesn't look like you're losing that much money, if any. See, look at here. This is a 19% maximum mana right here. This is a bad corruption. And it's still going for 91 divine. Interesting. Very interesting. Now, let's look at the maximum you can get here. So the maximum you can get for increased maximum mana is 28. So let's see if you were to check this, put in 28. Say you bought an uncorrupted one for 90 divine, 95 divine, whatever you ended up paying for it, and then you hit the maximum increased maximum mana percentage you could get. So that's actually going for about 200 divine. So you could potentially flip this and get 100 divine if you're buying a non-corrupted one and you hit the best possible Val Orb you could get, which is interesting. If you're going to be doing Dream Fragment Sapphire Ring flips, I assume you know a lot about this. I'm not going to go into great detail about Omens of Corruption and how they should be utilized and all of that sort of stuff. If you wanted to attempt to do Dream Fragment flips, you got to be pretty loaded. Or, you're at the end of this league and waiting for the next economy reset and you just want to blow all your money being crazy. But either way, I mean, there is methods for making profit here without a doubt. You hit a good corruption, it's possible you could make 100 divine. We're not going to craft one of these on stream because I would like to save my currency to do some more things before the next economy reset. So that's not in the cards for us today. But that's pretty interesting to see that you can buy some uncorrupted ones for as low as they are going currently. 96 even. And the fact that even if you hit a bad corruption, you don't lose that much of your initial investment. Whereas if you hit a good corruption, I'd say there's a way of making up to 100 divine profit on a max roll for increased maximum mana, which seems pretty cool. So if you're one of the brave and rich, go ahead and try that as a flipping strategy. Comment in the comment section if you did attempt this and it worked out well for you, or if you lost some currency attempting this strategy. Would love to hear about it. Anyways, that's Dream Fragments. Again, this is a random drop, so you can gamble for it. So are the other two rings. I forgot to mention that. Those are both random drops. One can drop anywhere. Polcirkeln, I believe, is monster level 12 as well. But they can drop anywhere in the game and from Alva and from Chance Orbing their corresponding bases. So let's move on to the next unique. Next up, we have Ventor's Gamble. Such an interesting ring. And as the name would imply, it is quite a gamble just identifying this item. Because you can actually get, on some of the modifiers, 0 plus to that stat. Or if you see here on the rarity and the elemental resistances, you can actually roll negative to those modifiers. So you could get a ring that substantially makes your character worse, depending on the rolls you're getting. So a very interesting ring. It's essentially worthless with bad rolls, but can be very valuable if you get one that rolls with high resistances, high rarity, and high spirit. One thing worth mentioning is spirit cannot be rolled on rare rings. So this could actually be, really, really valuable that for people that want to fit rarity on their build and also need spirit to buff, their damage or utility or something like that. So fantastic ring, could be best in slot for specific builds that need spirit and want to fit rarity in their build. Let's go look on the trade site and see what these are going for. All right, we are at the trade site. I put in Ventor's Gamble, and what I did for you guys is set something up that's going to be very handy. Again, link in the description. I set up a weighted sum with all of the modifiers of this ring, so you can actually use this to find a good one with a variety of different stats as opposed to the hard numbers that you're setting. So I've set these, weighted with different values. You can roll a lot of max life on it, and that's a less important than a lot of the other things. Spirit is weighted pretty high. Rarity is weighted pretty high. You can adjust these how you like. I put one for each elemental, and it's kind of based upon the max roll amount that you can get of each individual stat. But so this is a basic one. You can just use how I set it up, or you can adjust it to your needs. I then up here came and said I need a minimum of 110 on this weighted sum scale. And we're going to see what that comes up with for Ventor's Gamble. So here you can see I had the min sum at 110. This is a sum of 147. So look at this. It's got all positive stats except for the reduced rarity. Look at that. But it still has plus 10 here. But it's only got plus 2 to spirit. Kind of worthless, honestly. Keep moving down. This only has 116 sum. But what you can do is you could sort by sum and be like, I want the highest sum one. Now look at this, 95 divine for the highest sum based upon my scale that I put in. All positive, wow, a perfect to rarity right here. 2 perfects to rarity. And that's going for 95 divine. It's got plus 14 spirit on it as well. All positive resistances. That's a good price if you're looking down here, which has a slightly lower sum total and is going for 215, 20 spirit, a lot less rarity. Here we got 110. And you can come and explore this sorted by sum. Now, if you want to find the highest sum ring for a specific amount of money that you have, you could come down here and say, hey, I only want to spend a couple divine or whatever. And then sort by sum, and you're going to see the most, now that I've limited it by Exalt Orb equivalent, 2000, I'm only seeing rings that are 6 divine or less. So even at 6 divine or less, this one has negative to cold, but it's got a crap ton of rarity and spirit. Sometimes you're still going to see this negative resistance because of how I weighted it. Rarity is weighted really high, and so is spirit. So it has high rarity, high spirit, but still has 1 negative resistance. So pretty interesting. If you just remove that it has to have a minimum at the weighted sum, remove the amount that you need for an exalted orb, or max exalt orb, you can come here and just see, hey, you can buy these all day long for 1 exalt. Ones that are already corrupted, so you can't do anything with them. They just are how they are, and they're absolutely terrible for the most part. So if you're wanting to flip these, maybe you come in here and you go corrupted, no, and then search again. And now you're looking at least ones that you could still corrupt. And you could corrupt some of these really terribly rolled ones and just hope that it re-rolls a lot of the modifiers to be more positive. Or you go with the route of saying, hey, I want it to at least start with good rolls. That way, if I get an implicit, it's not absolutely terrible. So I came back and put a minimum on the weighted sum. And now I'm seeing rolls that are, not completely horrendous. You can up this value. Let's see if I put it at 150, say, on the weighted sum. Now I'm seeing, items that are about 50 exalts, but at least they have mostly positive things going for them. And they're not corrupted, so you can still corrupt them, which means the rolls may change. But there's a lot of potential for gambling involved with these rings. You could go for really, really high rolled ones and try and roll an implicit, or you could go for ones that aren't rolled so well and hope that the Valor re-rolls them to be something good. I have two examples we'll do as soon as we hop back in game, and we'll just see how we fare on the gamble spectrum of totally ripping currency or hopefully making some loot. Let's go check it out. All right, here we are. And as you can see, I bought two Ventors for 10 Exalted Orbs each, and we're going to put a Val on them. Now, you could start by putting a Catalyst on to raise up the resistances. Pick one of the resistances, but I don't see there being super high value in these. I think there's going to be very large variance, and most of them are likely going to be garbage after I apply the Vol Orb. We'll see what happens. But if you do want to apply a catalyst, you have to do it before corrupting it. Again, if you didn't know this, if the item is corrupted, you can no longer apply a catalyst, an equality, or any other crafting currency on any item. So on this first one, we actually have reduced rarity on the rarity spectrum, but we have all positive resistances and pretty crappy spirit. On this one, we have great spirit and good, decent rarity, but we have massive negatives to the resistances. Let's pop these in and see what we get. So I'm hoping to get better rarity and or good implicit. Let's just see some good rolls. Come on, let's go. Increased skill speed. So you can sacrifice rarity to get halfway decent resistances, a tiny bit of spirit, and increased skill speed. Skeptical that's really worth anything and that anyone will ever buy it. All right, on this one, let's go. And I think that it did nothing. Yep, it looks like it did nothing. So it seems likely, in my opinion, that I just ripped the 20 currency the 20 exalted orbs that I invested into these. So maybe it's better to start with really high rolls and hope that it doesn't re-roll something and just gives you an implicit. I don't know how you want to approach this. If you want to flip these, I'd love to see someone do a deep dive on this, or if you have any experience, comment down below. Have you had any success volleying Ventors and flipping them? Let's hear about it in the comment section if you have. But yeah, that's Ventors. If you get a really good rare rolled one, then you are in the money for sure. These can be super high value, but like I said, the majority of the ones you're going to be seeing are just crap tier worth nothing. One other way of approaching the gambles on these, and I can bring it back up, give me one sec. So honestly, I think the best way to gamble with these, if you want to do some gambling on Ventnors, is to come back to the trade site, change identified to no, hit search, and then just buy unidentified versions of it. Well, this one's 39, which is reasonable. Probably not a realistic listing, and the person's offline. So it looks like they're 100 exalted orbs a piece. For really low rarity rolls. This one's 140 once you jump up to 14% with the implicit. So a little chunk of change if you want to do some vision crafting, aka wisdom scroll crafting, and just purchase a couple unidentified ones and see what you get, and hopefully get lucky and get a 90 divine, maybe 150 divine ring. So that's another cool way of gambling with these rings. Last thing, just to summarize, what's cool about this slot is that not only do you get the rarity and resistances, which are, something that everyone wants in their build, but you can get spirit, which you can't get on any other rare ring, making it, pretty massive with good rolls. One final note on Ventors is that it is a random drop. You don't have to fight a boss or be in specific content to drop it. So you can get it via gambling with Alva, assuming she will give you items that are level 64 or higher. So you have to be in content with monsters that are 64 or higher. And you can chance it from a gold ring as well, is my understanding of how that works. So it's a random drop. You can get it from anywhere in the game. Cool. All right, guys, the next unique ring we're going to be covering is Sekhema's Resolve. This has been dubbed one of the most underrated rings by a content creator, Hype Pseudo, who did a deep dive on this item, showing how it could easily be best in slot for various meta builds. I will actually link that video in the description. It was a really interesting watch and very compelling. So all the other unique rings we covered in this are random drops, meaning they can just be dropped by monsters anywhere in the game, assuming you're fighting the high enough monster level for that item to drop. This, however, is a boss drop unique, meaning you not only have to be running the trial and killing the trial 4 boss on the 4th floor, the final boss, but you also need to be running a relic in order for this to even drop from that boss. So in order to acquire this, you either need to trade for it or be running that specific content. You can't chance it and you can't gamble for it at Alpha. This ring also comes in 3 different varieties, corresponding to a different elemental resistance and jewel type. Because what makes this ring very unique is that you can socket in a jewel into this ring. So you can get very different modifiers that you can't otherwise acquire on rings, and that can boost up your build in a whole different variety of ways, which is pretty cool. You can get crit stuff, you can get minion stuff. Those are probably the 2 best use cases, but I'm sure you guys are pretty creative and come up with other things. In addition, it gives you attributes and rarity. And then if you read that 3rd line, that 3rd blue line, lightning resistance is unaffected by area penalties. Well, what does that mean? Area penalties are the negative to resistances that you get after, as you're completing the campaign and have finished the campaign, and amount to negative 60 of that resistance. So essentially, that line is giving you 60 lightning resistance. This one's giving you 60 fire resistance. This one's giving you 60 cold. So you get rarity attributes and elemental resistances, and then you get to pick whatever jewel you want to put in here to give you all sorts of different crazy stats. Jewels have tons of different modifiers that could be useful for your build. Now you want to get the one that is relevant for the jewel type that you want for your type of build. So the one that has fire resistance, you socket in a ruby. The one that has lightning, you socket in an emerald. The one that has cold, you can socket in a sapphire. Lightning, the sapphire and emerald version of the rings are more expensive than the fire version or the ruby version, which is the least expensive. But pretty damn cool. I highly suggest you go watch that deep dive on this video, and then you'll have an understanding of how these can be just crazy for your damage depending on what type of build you're running, and definitely can be best in slot over breach rings with 50 quality that are, 100 divine rings potentially. So really, really interesting and definitely an overlooked unique. Let's go check them out on the trade site. All right, here we are on the trade site, and I've set up a filter that can be utilized. I put 17 out of 20 for minimum on attributes, 15 out of 20 for rarity, and then you can select which one you're looking for if you're looking for a ruby, emerald, or sapphire. I'm just going to leave them all blank and see what we can find. So it looks like you're pretty much going to be looking at 40 exalts for one that's decently rolled. That's not even perfect rolls. Let's see what happens if we just make these 0 minimum. You could find them for as cheap as 5, you know, probably more like 9 or 10 exalts. If you're looking for one that just has min rolls and it's already been corrupted. So let's put attributes back in here 17, rarity back in here 15, And now let's look at specific types. So if I wanted one where I could socket in an emerald, you know, I'm playing Deadeye or something like that. To get one that's already corrupted, you're looking at 40 exalts right out the gate for one that's decently rolled. Let's check Sapphire. For Sapphire, it's even a little bit more. So 60, 100 exalts more like, 120 to get one that's for Sapphire that's decently rolled. Now you can adjust these stats and find ones for cheaper. And then as I mentioned, Fire is the least expensive, or the one where you can socket the Ruby in is the least expensive. But it's actually somewhat comparable to Emerald. So 40 exalted, 45. This one already has an implicit and it's for 45, and then you're looking at 60, 70. So you can come in here. I think there's a lot of potential for flipping opportunities here. Since there's 3 different varieties, I'm not going to go into great depth, and since the video is already getting really long, but of course you're going to want to come over here and turn off corrupted, so make sure that it's not a corrupted one that you're getting. Search for it. You could apply an attribute catalyst that increases this modifier right here, and then you could corrupt them and experiment with flipping these. And I think there is good opportunity here if you do the research yourself and figure out a good method of doing it. But super cool ring, and I think that these have often been overlooked, and I'm going to find ways to incorporate them in my builds moving forward without a doubt. All right, Exiles, that wraps up part 2 of the Best Unique series, diving deep into the world of rings. I hope you're now armed with all the knowledge you need to slap some serious power onto your build or fatten up your stash tab by flipping these for profit. I would love to hear from you if I missed any of the early access meta rings that you think are relevant. And if I did, please go ahead and drop them in the comments. I'm always looking to learn and know what's popping off in the community. And hey, if you manage to pull off a giga flip of any of these rings, I definitely want to hear about it. Share your success stories or even your rip stories so we can all laugh and or cry together. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more unique breakdowns, and click the bell so you don't miss part 3. Trust me, it's gonna be good. Until then, Exiles, keep grinding, keep flipping, and I'll see you in Raycast. Cyclone 9 out. Peace.